to another legendary tabletop live stream. Today we're going to be playing Wingspan again, but we're going to be playing without the Duet Board. We're just going to be using the normal end of round goals. So I have some mixed in from each expansion, and these are the round goals. So we have rat and fish in food cost of your birds for round 1, and for round 2 we have birds with tucked cards, and for round 3 we have birds in the grasslands, and round 4 we have white and no power birds. So we are playing with just the Asia expansion, so we just have the Asia bird cards and bonus cards. We're going to be using the Avid Asian Admirer card, so we're going to be playing on normal difficulty. So the Automa is going to be taking birds worth 3 or 4 points. So just cut the deck. I've already shuffled, and we're going to flip 3 cards for the tray. So we have the common Iora, Eurasian Kestrel, black naped Oriole. Okay, so a round end power there. So I'm gonna deal 2 bonus cards to myself. Shuffle this up one more time. And we'll take 2 bonus cards. We'll see what we got. So we have birds with an egg limit of 2 or less. Or anatomist, which is birds with body parts in their names. So for small clutch specialists, we need 5 to 7 birds with an egg limit of 2 or less for 3 points, and 8 or more birds for 7 points. And for anatomists, we need birds with body parts in their names. So 2 to 3 birds for 3 points, and 4 or more birds for 6 points. So let's deal out an opening hand, so 5 cards. And let's see what we have here. So we have a twite, or twit, I don't know how to say that. Round end power, draw 2 cards from the deck, add them to your hand, then tuck any 2 cards from your hand behind this bird. Okay. We have the Asian Emerald Dove. So white power, when played, lay 2 eggs on each other bird in this column. We have the Golden Pheasant. So another white power, all players lay 2 eggs. You lay 2 additional eggs, so we could get 4 eggs. We got the Black Stork. So a round end power, lay 1 egg on each of the birds immediately to the left and right of this bird. Okay, so that has a fish and a rat in its food cost, so that would be good for round 1. But I don't think it's a good first bird because you wouldn't have any birds immediately to the left, but you would have more birds to the right. So we also have the Zebra Dove. So when activated, all players may discard a seed from their supply to lay 1 egg. Okay, so 2 of these birds qualify for small clutch specialists, so birds with an egg limit of 2 or less. So Black Stork and the Asian Emerald Dove. And then for anatomists, we have birds with body parts in their names, so I don't think we have any. The twit Asian emerald dove, golden pheasant, black stork, and zebra dove. So no. So we're going to go with small clutch specialist. And we'll discard the anonymous bonus card. And what else do we want to keep? So I'm thinking of keeping this black stork. It's still at least one free egg at the end of each round, which is nice, especially if we play this bird first. So I don't know about the zebra dove. Just gonna discard that. So far we just have the black stork that we're keeping. I don't know about this twit or twite. I don't even know how to pronounce it. The Asian emerald dove, when played, lay 2 eggs on each other bird in this column. I kind of like the golden pheasant better than that. They both go in the same 2 habitats, so the grasslands or the forest. So let's discard the twit or twite. I think I like the golden pheasant better because you can use 3 of any food. I know this is a really expensive bird. We might just not keep it at all, actually. We could. We could take a bird from the tray. So there is the Eurasian kestrel in the tray. So the Eurasian kestrel has a rat in its food cost for round 1. And then it can go in any habitat, and it has a when activated brown power, roll any 3 dice. If you roll at least 1 rat, cash 1 rat on this bird. So I think I don't think I'm gonna keep either the golden pheasant or the Asian emerald dove here. We're just gonna keep the black stork. So we're keeping 1 bird, so we get 4 food, right? So we'll discard all of our other birds. So we get 4 food. So we know we need a fish and a rat to play this black stork. And if we're gonna take that Eurasian kestrel, we need a 2nd rat, but we can't get it from the... Oh, we should also roll this bird feeder, so... let's see what happens with the bird feeder. So we'll roll these dice. Okay, so we have a fish, worm, seed, and then we have seed, worm, and cherry. It's a pretty good spread there. So, we get 2 more food to keep. I think I just need to move. So let's keep a worm, and it's either going to be a seed or a cherry. So let's keep a cherry. So that's going to be our 4 food, and we're just keeping the black stork. And then our bonus card is small clutch specialist. So I'm kind of wondering about taking that common Iora instead of the Eurasian kestrel. I want both, but I know the Automa could discard that card right away, and then we don't have the option to take it, which would suck. So what can we do? We have to pick one pretty much. I don't think I want to put this bird down right away. So I think we're going to draw bird cards for first action, and we're going to take this common Iora. Okay. So we'll refill the tray. And we get the red Abadat. So the red Abadat is now in the tray. And we're going to flip a card for the Automa and see what they do here. Alright, so they're just going to lay an egg. Nice and easy. And then they get a cube on the end of round goal. And that's one thing I don't have is the cards that we need. To see the score or the points that the Automa starts with. So I think these are bonus cards. Yeah, since we're using the Oceania expansion and the European expansion, end of round goals, we need to see what points they're gonna start with. So we need these cards, and we'll take the ones from the base game as well. Okay, so for round 1, let's just take a look at that while we're talking about it. So for round 1, we have rat and fish in food cost of your birds. So we're gonna check the round 1 card here. So they're going to start with none. So each cube is going to be +1. So right now they have 1 rat and fish in food cost of their birds. And we'll have 2 if we play this black stork. 3 if we can get our hands on that Eurasian kestrel. And I think I would put the kestrel in the forest. Well, let's take that Eurasian kestrel right now. So we're going to use our second action to draw another card. Okay? That's going to be it. We'll refill the tray, see what comes up. Okay, so we have the Brambling. So Brambling now in the tray. So round end, draw 2 cards from the deck and add them to your hand. Then tuck up to 2 cards from your hand behind this bird. So that is at the end of each round that the bird is in your habitat or down on your board. So could be good. So we spent 2 actions just drawing cards. I'm going to put the so we could play. I'm just thinking, where do I want to put these down? So this Iora, I was kind of thinking in the grassland, so we lay eggs, and then if we have a bird here and here, they also get an egg. So that's 1, 2, 3 points. Okay, so it's lay 1 egg on another bird in this column. So it's just 1 other bird. So we just need a bird here or here for that to work. So let's start with getting this black stork in play. So we're going to play a bird. Put our little cube up here. And we'll put the black stork down. Now it's going to cost a fish and a fish and a rat. So we'll pay the fish and the rat. And then we'll jump back over to the Automa's turn. So we have the black stork down now in the wetlands, and that's got a round end power. Lay 1 egg on each of the birds immediately to the left and right of this bird. Okay, so the Automa is going to take food. And they're going to start by taking this worm and seed, and then it says activate all pink powers. We don't have any pink powers. So let's play this common Iora next in the forest. So we'll put our action cube up here, and we'll drop this down. And that's going to cost 1 worm, so we'll pay the worm. And then we're right back to the Automa's next action. Or am I one behind? So we need to do 2 Automa actions. So they're going to play birds. So we are playing on normal difficulty, so they're going to take birds worth 3 and 4 points, and there are none in the tray. So they get a face down card worth 4 points. And then we're going to flip another one, and then they are going to discard all 3 cards in the tray. And lose the action cube on the end of round goal. So take these cards away. Give them a face down card. They lose the action cube on the end of round goal, so they're back down to 0 birds with fish and rat in their food cost. We're going to refill the tray here. So in the tray we have the green pheasant, a plumbous red start, and a little grebe. Green pheasant's nice. I don't like the idea of giving the Automa. We are playing with the Automa's horde, so every time we give them an egg, they would get 3 tokens, which translates, I think 4 tokens translates to a point in normal difficulty. So, on to our 5th activation. So, no rats in the bird feeder. And we have this Eurasian kestrel in hand. Is there another bird? So I've never seen, this is the expansion that I've played the least by far. So a lot of these birds are brand new to me. So the Plumbous Red Start, when activated, draw 1 card from the deck and add it to your hand. All other players draw 1 card from the deck and add it to their hand if the bird has a worm or seed in its food cost. I have no idea how that would work with the Automa. I think we would just give them a card, and then that's going to translate to more points. So, not really something I'm that interested in. We could take food right now, which would give us an egg, and I think that's going to be our best bet. So, we're going to take food. Let's take a worm, and then we could possibly force down this Eurasian kestrel if we need to. So we're going to take food here, and then we're going to go ahead and activate the common Ioria. So we're going to lay 1 egg on another bird in this column. So we're going to drop an egg on the black stork then, and then that's going to be it. So we're back to the Automa here, and they're going to discard all 3 cards from the tray again, gain a face down card, 4 points, and they're getting that cube back on the end of round goal. So they now have 1. We're going to refill this tray, so let's see what comes up in the tray. So we have the red vented bulbul. A lot of these birds have interesting names. Red vented bulbul. Like, what is that? Alright, so when activated, if you have at least 1 cherry in your supply, lay an egg on this bird. 6-point bird, 3 food costs. It's a prairie manager bird, so it can only go into grasslands. Let's see what else comes up. We have the crested ibis. Okay, so that's a white power, so when played, draw 2 new bonus cards and keep 1. Other players may discard 2 resources, so food, eggs, or cards to do the same. And we have the rhinoceros auklet. Wow. Strange looking bird. So when activated, roll any 2 dice. If you roll at least 1 fish, cash 1 fish from the supply on this bird. All players may discard 1 card from their hand to gain a fish from the supply. So that's the new tray. And I think we're going to go ahead and force down the Eurasian kestrel. So we are going to play a bird here. So this bird costs 1 rat, goes in any habitat. So we're going to put it in the grasslands. And since we don't have a rat, we're going to use the conversion here on top of the board to use any 2 food as another food. So we're going to use this worm and this cherry as a rat. Sucks to overpay like that, but it's going to help with the end around goal, and it's getting our engine going. So let's see what the Automa is going to do here. They're going to take food again. So they're looking for rats first, then fish. So they're going to take this fish out, and then they get another cube on the end around goal. So they are catching up. We have 3, so we have a fish, rat. We have 2 rats and 1 fish in our food cost of our birds here. So we got 2 activations left. We could lay eggs. We know we're not going to get another bird down in the wetlands for this round. So our black stork is going to be useless just for this round, hopefully. We do need another bird in the wetlands. And I kind of like that rhinoceros auklet because it's a 5-point bird for 1 food. And it goes with small clutch specialist, which is our bonus card. So birds with an egg limit of 2 or less. Now we do need 5 to 7 birds for just the 3 points. But it's 44% of the cards. So we could draw cards here. And we could spend an egg to, or discard an egg to draw 2 cards. And I think that is what we're going to do. So let's spend the egg. Let's take a card from the top of the deck. And we're going to get the rose ringed parakeet. So when played, copy a when played ability on one of your neighbor's birds. So I think if we play this, since we're playing solo against the Automa, if we were to play this, we would be copying a white power of a bird in the tray. So for instance, if we were to play this right now, we would be copying the crested ibis because it's the only white power there. So we could hold on to this bird and potentially just play it when there's a nice white power in the tray. So we get 1 more card draw. So we're going to take the rhinoceros auklet. And now we have these 2 birds in our hands. So we have the rose-ringed parakeet and the rhinoceros auklet. And this is a round end power, so we're going to skip right over that. And move on to the Automa's next turn. So they're going to lay an egg and lose an end of round goal cube. We do have to refill the tray here, so let's see what comes up. We got the common green magpie. So the common green magpie, when activated, gain 1 worm or rat from the bird feeder if there is one. You may cash it on this bird. So that's pretty expensive bird for 5 points. Like I was saying, we got the rhinoceros auklet for 1 food, 5 points. And it goes with our bonus card. So we have 1 activation left. And I think what we want to do is take a food. Now there's no fish. I would rather have a fish right now so we could get this rhinoceros auklet down first thing. Start of next round. But we do need a seed or a cherry for the rose ring parakeet. So we are going to take let's take the seed. Now we can use a seed or a cherry for the rose ring parakeet, so I don't think it matters, but the seed is more versatile, so we'll take that. And we're not going to discard a card for a second food here. We're just going to activate the common Iora. So when activated, lay an egg on another bird in this column. So let's lay an egg on the Eurasian kestrel. And that's going to be our final activation for round 1. So let's see what the Automa is going to do. they are going to wipe the tray. So we'll get rid of 3 birds from the tray, and we're not going to refill that until the next round. We'll give them a face down card worth 4 points and a cube on the end of round goals. So we'll take a look at the end of round goals for right now. So that is the end of round 1. And if we're looking at the end of round goals on this card, it's going to say round 1 down here. And it says fish and rat in food cost of your birds. So they start with 0 and each cube is +1. So they have 2. And then we'll take a look at our board. So if you look at our board, we have a fish and a rat here. So that's going to be 1, 2. And then we have a rat in the food cost of the Eurasian kestrel. So that's 3. So we do win the round 1 goal, which is only a 3-point difference. So we'll just take first place there. And then we'll just keep in mind that for round 2, birds with tucked cards is the end of round goal. So we'll put our action cubes back, and then we're going to switch over to the tray here and see what comes up for the start of round 2. So we have a desert finch, we have a brown shrike, and we have a Himalayan monal. So the desert finch is a when played power, lay 1 egg on this bird for each other bird in your grasslands. Okay. The brown shrike is when activated, all players may cash 1 worm from their personal supply on a bird in their grasslands. The Himalayan monal, so 3 food, 5-point bird, 2 egg capacity, goes with small clutch specialist. When activated, all players gain a wheat from the supply. You also lay an egg. So pretty good brown power there. So we could right now play, and this is what I meant by the rose-ringed parakeet. So for our first activation, we can play the rose-ringed parakeet using the seed. We can play this in the forest, right? And then we can copy a when played power of the desert finch. So since we have no neighbors, we're playing solo here. We'll be copying the white power of the desert finch since it's in the tray. And that's really our only option. So for our first activation here, we're going to play a bird. So we're going to put our cube up here and we're going to play the rose-ringed parakeet. So it's going to cost a cherry or a wheat. So we're going to pay with the wheat that we got at the end of the last round. And it's also going to cost 1 egg. So we're going to take an egg. And then we get... Now this rose-ringed parakeet says when played, copy a when played white ability of one of your neighbor's birds. So we're going to copy the desert finch ability in the tray. So we're going to lay an egg on this bird for each other bird in your grasslands. So we have 1 other bird in our grasslands. So we lay 1 egg on the rose-ringed parakeet. So pretty cool transaction there. Let's get rid of the Automa's remove after round 1 card. We'll shuffle up this deck, flip the round tracker to round 2, and see what they're going to do on their first activation here. Alright, so they're going to lay 2 eggs So we'll put 2 eggs in their little supply here. And then they would lose and cube on the end of round goal if they had one to lose, but they haven't gained any yet, so it's gonna go right back over to us. Now we have this rhinoceros auklet in play. There is no fish in the bird feeder right now, but there's only 1 food, so it is re-rollable. And we do have the ability to get 2 food now, so I think we are gonna go ahead and take food. So let's re-roll this bird feeder here, and let's see what we get. We need at least 1 fish, right? Okay, and there's the fish. So we are taking food here. Okay, so we get 2. Let's take a fish and I don't know, I guess a worm. So we'll take a fish and a worm. And then we're gonna go right over to the common Iora. So when activated, lay an egg on another bird in this column. So we can put an egg on either the kestrel or the black stork. So let's put one on the kestrel. See what the Automa is gonna do. They're gonna lay 2 more eggs and lose another cube that they don't have on the end of round goal. Not good to see those early on. You want to see those at the end. Almost for sure that they're going to be loading up on those cubes at the end of the round. And I don't see us getting any tucked birds. We don't have any tucking birds right now. So this is, let's take a look. We got round 2. Just take a quick look at the goals over here. So we have round 2. Birds with tucked cards. So for round 2, birds with tucked cards, they're gonna start with -1. So each cube is +1. That's good that they start with a negative, because I don't see us even getting one. So now we can play our rhinoceros auklet. So let's go ahead and put this down in the wetlands. So we're gonna play the rhinoceros auklet. So we're gonna put our little action cube on play a bird, and we're gonna put it down here in the wetlands. So the rhinoceros auklet's gonna cost 1 fish. So we'll take a fish. And it's going to cost 1 egg, so we'll take an egg from the rose ring parakeet, and that's going to be it for us. So we'll go back to the Automa here. They're going to take food. So they're starting with cherries, then rats. So both of these rats are going to come out, making the bird feeder re-rollable. And so far, for small clutch specialist, which is our bonus card, so birds with an egg limit of 2 or less, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 more and we hit that lower threshold of 3 points. I would like to get 8 if we can. That's gonna give us, it's gonna bump us up to 7 points. So next activation. This is gonna be our 4th activation here for round 2. Now we have no bird cards in our hand, so we need to draw cards. And there are no tucking cards in the tray. And I'm also not really interested in anything in the tray. So I think we're going to draw 2 cards blind here. We could hold off. We could lay eggs and gamble with the Eurasian kestrel. So we could lay 2 eggs. Roll any 3 die, roll at least 1 rat, cash 1 rat on this bird. Let's just draw blind and see what we get. So, we're going to draw cards. So we're going to draw 2 cards here. So let's just take 2 blind. So we're going to draw the common teal, round end power, and the rook. So pretty happy to see the rook here. Costs 1 of any food and has a when activated power of cash 1 food from your supply on this bird, or tuck a card from your hand behind this bird. If you do either, tuck a card from the deck behind this bird. So we could qualify for that end of round goal. If we end up with no tucked cards, then we get 0 points. So good news is we found the rook, and we can qualify for that end of round goal. So let's finish this activation here. We're going to go back to the player board and see what this rhinoceros auklet says. So when activated, roll any 2 die. If you roll at least 1 fish, cash 1 fish from the supply on this bird. So we can roll any 2 die. So let's take 1 out so that the feeder automatically re-rolls. And let's just roll. So these are the 2 that we rolled. We did not get a fish. And then it says all players may discard a card from their hand to gain a fish from the supply. So if anyone knows how that works with the Automa, let me know in the comments. But I don't think if they have the decision to lose or discard something, they will, yeah, because they don't gain fish either way. So that's going to be it for us. Let's see what the Automa does for their next activation. So they're going to discard the cards from the tray, which I wish they would have done earlier so we could see some new birds here. They're going to gain a face down card. And we got to refill this tray up here. So let's take a look at the new birds. So we have the trumpeter finch. We got the Eurasian marsh harrier. And we have the Brahminy kite. So trumpeter finch, when played, play an additional bird in your grasslands. You may ignore 1 wheat or 1 egg in its cost. Eurasian marsh harrier, 2-point bird, 3 egg capacity, platform nest, predator power when activated up to 3 times. Draw 1 card from the deck when you stop. If the bird's total wingspan is less than 110 centimeters, tuck them behind this bird. If not, discard them. So a little bit more gambling. And then the Brahminy kite, a 6-point bird, platform nest, goes with our small clutch specialist. Choose any 3 die, roll them up to 3 times. Each time, if you roll at least 1 fish or rat, cash 1 here. If not, stop and return all food cached here this turn. So 2 gambling birds and a when played ability bird. And what I want to do is try to get this rook down. So we have 3 activations left. So we could play this rook. So it costs 1 of any food. We could play it in the grasslands with our worm. That would be 1 activation. And then we could take food, right? Get some food. And then with our final activation, we can lay eggs, cache a food, tuck a card. We could probably tuck this common teal. And then we would be getting 2, 3, 4 points, 5, 6, 7, and maybe 8 points from just that 1 final activation. So the rook is a really good bird so far. Let's stick to the plan that I just said, as long as I don't forget it. So we have 1 egg, so we can play this rook here in the grasslands. So this is going to cost 1 of any food. So we're going to use the worm that we have, and we're going to use the egg off the Eurasian kestrel to play the rook, and that's it for us. So let's see what the Automa does next. So they're going to lay 2 eggs and lose a cube on the end of round goal. So they haven't gained a cube on the end of round goal yet. I'm sure they will pop off here at the end though. So they get 2 eggs. We're gonna give them 2 more eggs, putting them up to 8 eggs. And then it's back to us. So we're going to stick to the plan that we had. So we're going to take food. This was supposed to be re-rolled, so let's take a look real quick at this bird feeder and see what food comes up as we roll. Okay, 4 cherries, a worm, and a seed. So we can take 2 food. We don't plan on playing any of these birds, so let's take a worm and a cherry. So we'll take the worm and the cherry. And then we'll activate the common Iora. So when activated, lay an egg on another bird in this column. So let's go ahead and just put this on the Eurasian kestrel. And then that's it for us. Let's see what the Automa will do. So they're going to take food again. Starting. Well, all 3 are the same. So this bird feeder is going to get re-rolled once more. So let's re-roll again. See what food they're going to take first. Alright, so we got 2 rats, a fish, wheat, and then wheat/worm. So the first one they're taking is wheat and worm. And then it's activate all pink powers. So we don't have any pink powers. So it's back to our turn. And for our final activation here, we are going to lay 3 eggs. So let's just quickly jump to the player board so you can kind of follow along. We're going to lay 3 eggs here. And we're going to put 1 here. We'll just spread them out, preferably on birds. Oh, let's not put 1 on the rhinoceros auklet because we are going to lay 1 at the end of the round from the black stork. So let's put 2 on the kestrel and 1 wherever we put the other one. So when activated, we're going to activate this rook. So when activated, cache 1 food from your supply on this bird or tuck a card from your hand behind this bird. If you do either, tuck a card from the deck behind this bird. So we're going to do both. We're going to cache a cherry on the rook, and we're going to take the common teal that's in our hand and tuck it behind this bird. And then since we did both, you only have to do 1, but we did both. We're going to tuck another card from the deck. So if you look at just the point generation from the rook there, we laid 3 eggs, so that was 3 points. We cached a food and tucked 2 cards, so 6 points. Now we're going to activate this Eurasian kestrel. So when activated, roll any 3 die. If you roll at least 1 rat, cache 1 rat on this bird. So any 3 die, so we can just look at this bird feeder and we can just pick 3 of any food. So we're going to make it re-rollable. So we'll take this worm and seed out. So we're rolling these 3 die, and if we get at least 1 rat, we just cache a rat on there. So we got a rat. It was off screen, but we did get the rat. So pretty good activation there. We laid the 3 eggs. We laid the 3 eggs. We cached. We tucked 2 cards, and then we got a cache on the Eurasian kestrel. So 3, 4, 5, 6, a 7-point engine already. At the end of round 2. So far, so good. Let's see what the Automa does with their last activation. So they're gonna lay 2 eggs and get a cube on the end of round goal. I still think that puts them at 0, so we end up getting first place and they get 0, which is nice. So we'll give them their 2 eggs, put a cube on the end of round goal over here, and we'll just check out these end of round goals real quick. So they're gonna get a cube, and for round 2, if you look at the cards here, so this says round 2, birds with tucked cards. So we'll go to birds with tucked cards. It says -1 is what they start with. So this cube puts them at 0, meaning they have no birds with tucked cards. So they get 0 points, and we get the full 5. Alright, so we're going to start round 3 over here. So round 3 is a base game end of round goal, so we have birds in the grasslands. So we already have 2. We can look real quick at the card for round 3. So the Automa is going to start with 2 birds in the grasslands, and each cube will be +1. So we're already tied, and any more cubes that they get are just going to put them in the lead. So we got to clean up this end of round stuff real quick. Put our cubes back. We need to reset this tray. Let's take a look at the birds that are coming up in the tray. We always go first against the Automa, so we're going to get rid of the old birds. We'll put 3 new cards out. So we have the Great Cormorant. We got the Spotted Dove. And we got the Fire-Fronted Serin. So, Great Cormorant, Predator Power, 6-point bird, goes with Small Clutch Specialist. When activated, you may move 1 fish from this bird to your supply, then roll any 2 dice. If any are fish, cash 1 fish on this bird from the supply. Spotted Dove is 0-point bird, 3 egg capacity, platform nest when activated. If this bird has no birds to the right of it, you may move it. Only the card to the player mat of the player on your right if you choose its habitat. If you do, draw 3 cards. Not sure how that works against the Automa. Fire-Fronted Serin, so round end. That actually reminds me we need to do our round end power that's on our black stork. So at the end of the round, lay 1 egg on each of the birds immediately to the left and right of this bird. So we put an egg on the rhinoceros auklet now that we have one. So am I interested in any of the birds in the tray? I don't think so. Maybe that Great Cormorant. It's a 6-point bird. It goes with Small Clutch Specialist. We have no cards in our hand anyway, so we need to draw cards here. Let's change up this, or shuffle the Automa cards. We'll flip the round tracker over to round 3. We need to remove the card that says remove after round 2. Okay. So we'll get that out of there and then shuffle this deck. Alright, so we got the deck shuffled here. So first activation, round 3. What do we want to do? We need cards. So that Fire-Fronted Serin, it's only a 1-point bird. At the end of the round, lay an egg on this bird for each bird to its left in this row. So that could be 4 points by the end of the game. I feel like we have a good situation on the egg laying. Let's draw cards. So we can draw 2 cards. So we'll go over to our player board here. We'll draw some cards. So we're going to draw 2 cards here. Now, I'm thinking of taking that Fire-Fronted Serin from the tray. But I want to take one from the deck first, so we'll see what we get. We got the Eurasian Hoopoe, so that's another white power that will go good with the round 4 goal. And for our second bird, I think we're going to take this Great Cormorant that we said. So a 6-point bird goes with our Small Clutch Specialist bonus card. So we're going to activate this Rhinoceros Auklet. And the Rhinoceros Auklet is when activated, roll any 2 dice. If you roll at least 1 fish, let's just roll these 2 dice real quick. See what we end up getting. Go back to the bird feeder real quick, see what we get. So we're gonna roll these 2, and we do get a fish. So we end up cashing a fish on the Rhinoceros Auklet. And then it says all players may discard a card from their hand to gain a fish from the supply. Ooh, do we want to do that? I would, but I really like this Eurasian Hoopoe that we just picked up. These are the only 2 cards in our hand right now. Now, if we didn't blind draw this Eurasian Hoopoe, I would probably discard a card to take a fish so I could play this Great Cormorant right now. But we have a solid forest engine going. So we are not going to do that. So we'll skip over the black stork. And then we have to refill this tray. See what comes up. So in the tray, we're going to have the Spoon-billed Sandpiper. So that is a when played ability. Draw 2 new bonus cards and keep 1. Other players may discard 2 resources to do the same. Okay. So that was our first activation here. Let's see what the Automa is going to do for their first activation, round 3. So they're going to discard these cards from the tray, so they're all gone. Gain a face down card for 4 points, and then we're going to refill the tray and see what comes back up. So take a look. We got the Satire Tragopan, the Ruddy Shell Duck, and the Crested Lark. So when activated, gain a card from your hand to another. Give a card from your hand to another player if you do lay 2 eggs on this bird. That's the Satire Tragopan. The Ruddy Shell Duck, round end, draw 5 cards from the deck, add 1 to your hand, tuck 1 behind this bird, and discard the rest. Then we have the Crested Lark. So when activated, discard a wheat if you do lay an egg on this bird. Yeah, I think we're just going to try to get these birds down. So we need 2 fish. Let's take a look at the bird feeder real quick. Now the bird feeder is re-rollable since these 2 are the same. So we're going to take these out and just re-roll all 5. Hopefully we get some fish. Okay, no fish as usual, so 2 rats, 2 cherries, and a worm. I guess we'll take the worm and the rat since we need that for the Eurasian hoopoe. Oh, we're taking food, so let's go back to our player board real quick. And now we're gonna jump over this parakeet and activate this Iora. So when activated, lay an egg on another bird in this column. Okay, so running out of egg slots here. The Eurasian kestrel is full. Let's see what the Automa does. So they're gonna take food, they're gonna take fish, then rats, then cherries. So this rat comes out, and then we have activate all pink powers. So there are no pink powers. So it's back to our turn. Now, we do have the food to play this Eurasian hoopoe. So, when played, steal a worm from each of your neighbors. Each neighbor from whom a worm was stolen may gain 1 food from the supply. Wow. It's a lot of reading. I don't think that the Automa has a worm if there's no cube on the end of round goal. So it's probably not a good time to drop this Eurasian hoopoe, unfortunately. But we could try for some more fish, which seems like the right idea, being that there's 2 cherries in here and this is re-rollable. So let's take food again. Let's re-roll all 5. Again with no fish. Ooh, this is getting tough here. So let's take, and we only have 1 egg slot left for this activation. Then we have to play a bird. So we might just have to force down this cormorant, which is a shame. Let's do it like this. Let's take the 2 worms. So we now have 4 worms and a rat. Okay, and then we're gonna activate this Iora, so lay an egg on another bird in this column. So we only have 1 spot left. We can do that. We can put 1 on the black stork, and that's it. Okay, so we might just have to play this Eurasian hoopoe just for the mere fact that it is a 7-point bird. And it's going to give us some egg slots, which is nice. And we can start discarding a food for a 4th egg here. So I kind of like that. It's just we're not ready for this cormorant. I'm not gonna overpay. We need the 2 fish to play it, unfortunately. So let's see what happens here. The Automa's gonna flip a card. They're gonna play a bird. So they're taking all birds worth 3 or 4 points. So they're gonna gain this ruddy shell duck face up. So that's a bonus for us. It's better than them taking a 4-point face down card. And then they would lose an action cube if they had an action cube. So they don't have an action cube. We'll refill the bird that they took from the tray. And we'll see the new bird that comes up. So it's going to be the green bee eater. So when activated, if there's at least 1 bird on the tray that has a worm in its food cost, tuck one of them behind this bird. Okay, pretty cool. Seems like a good bird to have down early in the forest, although it costs 3 worms, so 3 of the same food. I think what we're going to do, we got 3 activations left. We could try for a fish one more time. But I think the move here is to play the Eurasian hoopoe and then lay eggs, caching, and tucking. Well, if we're going to do that, we should probably draw cards so that we can tuck some more cards, right? Well, we get to tuck one regardless if we cache from the deck, which is great. That's why I love the rook. So let's stick to... We do have an extra activation here, though. So it might just be worth it to draw cards here. How are we doing with the bonus cards? So we need 8. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need 3 more birds. We could take that Satire Tragopan. I kind of like the green bee eater. Star nest. We have the food to play it. So we could really build out that grasslands. Seems like a plan. I do like that green bee eater. Let's take one off the top of the deck first. Alright, so we get the white-throated kingfisher. So not a small clutch specialist bird, but goes in all 3 habitats and has a good predatory power. Second bird, we're taking this green bee eater. So this is the hand right now. So we have the great cormorant, the white-throated kingfisher, the Eurasian hoopoe, and the green bee eater. Let's see what bird comes up in the tray here. So we have the rock pigeon. Okay, 0-point bird. When activated, all players lay an egg. You lay an additional egg. So you get 2 eggs. Good starting bird. Not interested in a 0-point bird for the end of this game. So we got 4 birds. Let's activate this rhinoceros auklet. Jump back over to the player board here. So when activated, roll any 2 die. So we're going to roll the 2 that are outside the feeder. So we did not get a fish, and we can discard a card from our hand to gain a fish. So I think we take this opportunity to get rid of this white-throated kingfisher to gain a fish. And then we skip the black stork. And we're going to run into some egg problems here if we don't end up playing birds soon. So I think we can play 2 birds with our next 2 activations, which is really good. So we have in our supply, two. So we have 1 rat, 1 fish, and 4 worms. So I'm thinking let's see what the Automa does here, because if they end up getting a cube on the end of round goal, we can steal a worm. Okay, they get no cube, but they are taking food, and they're going to remove this rat. So the bird feeder is now re-rollable. And we have 2 activations left. We could play, honestly, any of these birds. Right now they have 2 birds in the grasslands, and they could get an egg, making 3. So we could play this bee eater. For the 3 worms. And then lay eggs. That seems like a plan. This Eurasian hoopoe would be a good end of game 7-point bomb, and then a cormorant for 6 points. The Eurasian hoopoe also goes with the round 4 goal, so white and no power birds, we only have 1 so far, and the Eurasian hoopoe would put us at 2. So 2 activations left. Let's drop this green bee eater. So we're gonna play a bird. We're gonna play the green bee eater, so it's gonna cost 3 worms and 1 egg. So we need to be smart about where we're taking these eggs from. We have to take one off of this rhinoceros auklet because it only holds 1 egg, and then at the end of the round we lay an egg on each of the birds immediately to the left and right of our black stork. So if there's an egg here, we're wasting that egg. So we're gonna discard. We're gonna use the egg to play the green bee, the egg from the rhinoceros auklet to play the green bee eater, and then let's see what the Automa does for their next activation. They are gonna discard 3 cards from the tray, gain a face down card, and lose an action cube they don't have. That is amazing that they have not gained a single cube on the end of round goal. So we got some new birds coming up here in the tray. We have the Indian vulture. We have the Oriental magpie robin. These won't be here long. So the blue rock thrush. Cool looking birds for sure. Just don't know what any of them do. So 1 activation left. I was thinking we could lay eggs here. There is still a chance that they tie us on the end of round goal if we don't play another bird. They start with 2. We have 3. They could get a cube on their card, on their final card for round 3, and tie us. So if we lay eggs, we may not even have the space. If we play this Eurasian hoopoe, it's just going to be 7-point bird. It really doesn't do anything else because there has to be an action cube on the end of round goal for us to steal a worm, I think. I believe. Let's play a bird for our last activation. So let's take a look at the player board. So we're going to play a bird out here. So this is now going to cost 2 eggs. You can't see it, but it's going to cost 2 eggs. And we're going to have to play it because we're playing it in this column. So it's going to cost 2 eggs, a rat, and 2 worms. So the 2 eggs we want to take from probably are this because of the common Iora's power. So lay an egg on another bird in this column and they're full. So we'll take an egg from both the black stork and the Eurasian kestrel, freeing up 2 egg spots, and then we'll use 2 worms and a rat. Now, we can't do the when played ability of the hoopoe because they don't have a cube on the end of round goal, so we don't get to steal a worm. And then there's going to be 1 activation left for the Automa. So let's see what that's going to be. They're going to play a bird. So they're looking for 3 and 4-point birds, and all we have are just zeros out there. So nothing in the tray, but they do end up getting that cube I was talking about. So take a look at the goals here. They are going to get a cube, putting them at 3. So if we did not play that Eurasian hoopoe, we would have tied the end of round goal, like I was saying. But we do end up winning. So we get first place, and they get second. And then let's reset this and move on to round 4 here. So we're gonna wipe the tray, get 3 new birds out there to look at. The desert wheatear, greater adjutant, bearded reedling. Put our action cubes back. Round 4 is white and no power birds. So far we have 2. All we have in our hand is this great cormorant that we can't seem to find 2 fish for. So those are the new birds. No white powers up there. We could force down this great cormorant with the 2 worms and the fish that we have. What do we want to do? So this is going to put us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're just hitting that lower threshold of small clutch specialist with the great cormorant. I don't think we're going to get 8. So maybe let's just go for it. Let's force down this great cormorant. So we're going to play a bird here. Oh, we forgot to do the round end ability of the black stork, so we'll do that real quick. We're just putting an egg on the rhinoceros auklet. So this is going to cost 1 egg. We'll take it right back off. And 2 fish. So we'll take the 2 worms and the fish that we have. And that's our first activation. Let's flip the Automa's cards. So we'll go back to the... We'll flip this over for round 4. Remove after round 3 card. Shuffle these cards. And see what they're doing for their first activation. Oh, we did forget to refill the tray as well. We have to refill this tray. So let's take a look at what comes up in the tray real quick, actually. So we're going to get the scaly-breasted Munia, a graceful Prinia. Yep, Prinia. And a Smew. These are the strangest of names. So no bird cards in our hand. We definitely don't have space to lay eggs for 4 rounds. We would need 32 egg slots, and we definitely don't have that. We got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So we have to do something other than lay eggs. If we have 19... we can draw cards so that we have some to tuck under the rook. Draw cards, take food, lay eggs twice. I think that's gonna be the plan. So let's go ahead and execute that plan. We need to see what the Automa is doing first. So they're taking birds. Playing birds from the tray, 3 and 4 points. So they're taking this Smew face up. And we'll get a new one in the tray for our activation. There is the Bio Weaver, the famous Bio Weaver. So when activated, tuck up to 3 cards from your hand behind this bird. If you tuck at least 1 card, lay an egg on this bird. So that could be a 4-point each activation bird. That's pretty strong. Let's stick to the plan. We're going to draw cards. That is a 3-point bird. I don't see us getting it down. It costs 3 food, so we're just gonna draw 2 off the top of the deck, and we might spend an egg. We did pick up the Sri Lanka blue magpie, so a 9-point bird, but I don't think we're gonna have time to take food and do all that and get them down before the end of the game. So we took 2, so we could take a third. Sorry, I forgot to switch back. So we are drawing cards here. We took 2 off the top of the deck. So we have the option to discard an egg for a third card. And do we want to do that? I think we should, for the simple fact that we are running out of egg space. So let's get a third card here, and we are just going to draw off the top. So we get a common sandpiper. Alright, so let's activate this Great Cormorant. So the Great Cormorant's when activated power is you may move a fish from this bird to your supply, then roll any 2 dice. If any are fish, cash 1 fish on this bird from the supply. So that one rolled all the way over there, and it's not a fish. So, no whammies. Alright, roll any 2 dice. If you roll at least 1 fish, cash 1 fish from the supply. So let's roll again. No fish, so we got a cherry and a seed there. And then that's going to be it. Alright, let's see what they're doing. Laying 3 eggs and losing an action cube. I feel like the Asia Automa deck is much less swingy compared to the base game Automa deck. I could be wrong. That is just my opinion. I just see a lot more of them losing cubes than gaining them. It's also just luck of the draw. So what we want to do now is gain food so that we have food when we lay eggs to cash on our rook. And we have these 3 cards we can tuck by the end of the game. So we're going to take food here one last time. Let's jump back over to our board so you can see we're gaining food. So we're going to gain 2 food. Let's just re-roll and see what comes up. So in the bird feeder we just rolled, we have 2 cherries, a rat, a fish, a worm, and a seed. So we could take any food we want. Now we only get 2 food, so we wouldn't be able to play the Sri Lanka Blue Magpie, and that's the only thing I'd be interested in playing, because it is small clutch specialist and it's a 9-point bird on its own. So we're just going to take food that we can cash. Let's take a rat and a fish. And then we can activate this common Iora. So the common Iora is when activated lay an egg on another bird in this column. So we can do the black stork. And that's going to be it. So let's see what the Automa does with their 3rd activation. They're going to take food. So they're looking for rats, then fish, then cherries. So the cherries come out of the bird feeder here. And it's back to us. So now we can lay eggs for 2 turns. We're going to get a nice, probably solid like 7 or 8 points each activation. So we'll jump to the player board, and you can see here we're going to lay 4 eggs. So we'll get 4 eggs, and we'll just start filling up this hoopoe. It can hold 5, so we'll put 4 on there. And then it says we'll activate the green bee eater. It says when activated, if there is at least 1 bird on the tray that has a worm in its food cost, tuck 1 of them behind this bird. So we can tuck this graceful Prinia behind there, and then we can activate our rook. So the rook is when activated, cash a food from your supply on this bird, or tuck a card from your hand behind this bird. So we are going to do both. We're going to cash the rat and tuck a card. And then it says if you do either, tuck a card from the deck behind this bird. So that is why the rook is so strong. That's 3 points in one little activation there. It's only a 1-point bird, but it's going to add up by the end of the game, which it is very close to the end of the game now. So let's activate the Eurasian Kestrel here. So it says roll any 3 dice. If any are rats, cash 1 rat on this bird. So we got 2 rats here. Jump over to the bird feeder. I know I'm a little behind on this. We did end up rolling 2 rats. So we get to cash another rat here on the Eurasian Kestrel. Now, Automa is going to take their activation, and they do gain a cube on the end of round goal. So that is not something that I have checked yet. Got to refill the tray. The black Drongo comes up. So let's take a look real quick at the end of round goals. So for round 4, it is white and no power birds, and they just gained a cube. So let's take a look at the cards real quick. So we're looking at round 4, white and no power birds. So that's going to be here, right here, and they're going to start with 1, and that gives them 2, that cube. So we also have 2 on our board. If you can see, we got the Eurasian Hoopoe and the rose-ringed parakeet. So we could end up tying here. We have no chance of winning. So for our last activation, we're going to lay eggs again. So let's lay 4 eggs, and we'll just spread them out. So let's put our last one on the Hoopoe. Let's fill up the common Iora. And then we'll put the last one on the rose-ringed parakeet. So that's 4 eggs. And then we'll activate this Bee Eater so we can tuck a card that has a worm in its food cost from the tray. So we'll tuck the Bioweaver behind the Bee Eater. And then we'll activate the Rook, caching our last fish, tucking the Mandarin Duck, and then tucking a card from the deck as well behind the Rook. And then we roll 3 die, and if we get a rat, we can cash 1. We did not get a rat. So that was our final activation. So let's see what happens here. We got to refill this tray. The Automa is going to take their last turn. They are going to gain a cube, so that's going to give them 3. So they are going to win the final end of round goal. So we'll do this in order. So they're going to get 3 eggs. So they got their 3 eggs, and then let's take a look at the end of round goals. So they have their 2 cubes on there that they have gained. If we look through real quick, so for round 4 they would have gained 1 there, lost 1 there, gained 1 there, and gained 1 there. So they ended up with 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they took their 5 turns, and that's going to give them, they start with 1, and now they have 3 white no power birds. So they do take first place since we only have 2. Jump back over to our board real quick. So we have the rose-ringed parakeet and the Eurasian Hoopoe. Now we do get to activate this black stork, putting a egg on the rhinoceros auklet at the end of round 4. And I believe that's going to be it for the game. So let's tally this up and see how we did. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Got second place on the end of round goals. Let's take a look. Need to grab a scoreboard real quick so we can switch back to the end of round goals. Okay, and I have my pen here. So do we use the Asia scoreboard? So the only difference on the Asia scoreboard is the duet token, so we just won't use that. So played on normal difficulty. We'll add up our birds real quick. So let's see, we have 3 up in this upper row. So that's 10, 15, 18, 21, 26, 32. So we have 32 points just from our birds. That's actually pretty low. We did hit small clutch specialist here. So birds with an egg limit of 2 or less. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we did hit that lower threshold there of 5 to 7 birds, and we get the 3 points. We'll add up the end of round goals real quick. I'll switch the board so we can tally this up together. So we have 4 points here for blue. We are blue. So that's 9, and 6 is 15, and 4 is 19. So we get 19 points for the end of round goals. Let's add up our eggs. So we have a good amount of eggs here. Let's take a look at the player board. We got 5 on the hoopoe, so that's 5. And then we'll take from here 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 eggs. Okay, let's add that. Food on cards is the next one, so look at the player board real quick again. So we have a fish, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 food on cards. And then we have to add up our tucked cards real quick. So we're going to take our tucked cards from behind the birds, and they are 1 point each. So we're going to look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tucked cards. So we get 8 points for that. And that's going to be it. So we'll add that up real quick. $81, so we get 81 total points. Now we got to add up the Automa's points here, so they're going to get 4 points for each face down card, so we'll add these up. So they're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so that's 28 points plus 7 for their face up cards. So they have the Smew and the Ruddy Shelduck face up. So we'll do 28, and then they get 7, and then we'll look at the end of round goals again here quick for the Automa. So they're going to be green, so they get 1 point here, they get 3 points here, and 7 here, so they get 11 points. We need to add up their eggs real quick, so we'll go back to our player board, see how many eggs they have. So these are little rows of 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They got 15 plus 1, so 16 eggs. And that's going to be it. That is all we add up for the Automa. They didn't get any horde tokens from us, which is nice. So we'll add that up real quick. They got 27 or 28 and 7. Plus 11. Plus 16, so 62. It feels like I'm missing something. It feels like the 62 is very low. yeah, either way, I think we win. So we're gonna wrap it up for tonight. So overall, was a solid game. We did get the win. If I'm doing this right, I gotta take a look at the other score pad. So I don't know if the Asia score pad is different than the original score pad. It doesn't look different. The only difference is the duet tokens in largest group, and it's also longer, so they give you an extra space. So I think we do win. I'll double check this though, but that's gonna be it for today. So we do win 81-62. Thanks everyone for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe.